Steely Dan's failed studio album, 1974's Pretzel Logic, sees the band branch out and explore different kinds of music than they did before. On the previous two albums, the band honed their craft, getting to be quite proficient at jazz rock instrumentation and composition. Here they take that proficiency and use it to successfully marry a wide range of musical styles, turning the album into a scrapbook of mixed-up genre exercises. Despite this, the band manages to keep a surprisingly grounded feel. Regardless of some of the brief fancy orchestration, high-tech synth, and guitar feedback, everything here sounds like something you could stumble across a busker playing on the street. Some of this is owed in part to the album's folk-like lyrical sensibility of vignette songs and sympathetic songs of lower-class people, as well as the album's superficially unprofessional mix of styles. Becker and Fagan once again kick off another album with a great opener. Rikki Don't Lose That Number. The weird riff at the beginning sets the off-kilter texture of the album right off the bat, and the rest of the song is great as well. The singing is good, the bass line, the guitar solo, both amazing. The lyrics are great as well. The lyrics tell a simple story of a man trying to get a woman to call him, but it's wrapped up in so much lyrical red herrings that it creates a kind of engaging hook. People have long speculated on the meaning of this song, and I think it's a great testament to, the style and also just how they're able to get people engaged trying to figure out what it's about when it really is something just that simple. Night by Night continues on the momentum of the previous song. The lyrics tell the story of a person doing what they have to survive each night, regardless of the morality of their actions. The synth on the song adds some nice texture, and the smooth vocal harmonies on the chorus is a very sweet sound, resulting in another great song to lead into the main body of the album. Any major dude will tell you starts off with a strong New York noir sort of sound, then continues on to a lilting, southern-sounding kind of guitar solo. This surprisingly seamless merging of styles is key to this song's success, and honestly, the album as a whole kind of follows this format. Throw in some small Alex-sounding lyrics into the mix, and you have pure 70s gold. Or maybe it's butter, who knows? This song feels strongly indicative of where the band's sound would move on to in the later 70s, with this song sounding musically like a precursor to much of the songs on Asia, such as Deacon Blues. Barrytown is a surprisingly mellow-sounding song sung in a poppy feel-good style. This is perfectly mixed with the bigoted-sounding lyrics, sharply criticizing the conservative, squeaky-clean image of the people who tend to harbor the deepest prejudices. The lyrical intolerance with the Monkees' pop-rock-sounding music and instrumentation make a contrast that works, I think, very, very well. As a minor note, I also find this song vaguely reminds me musically of the Beatles song Tell Me What You See from Help, despite the kind of completely dissimilar lyrical styles. I don't know why that is. I guess it's just, as I said, this has kind of a feel of like the Monkees and kind of like 60s pop rock. It's like, I don't think most people would get it, but like, for some reason when I hear this, I kind of hear that other song in my head. I don't know why, it's just something, I guess, it's Beatles brain rot, I guess. Duke Ellington's East St. Louis Toodle-Oo was an interesting choice on instrumental for the band to cover, as it is delivered with finesse. Steely Dan has always been good at the jazz part of jazz rock, and nowhere is it more apparent than here. The talkbox effects sound great, and musically the song manages to blend in with an eclectic mix as the rest of the album pretty well, something that is very important if you're going to do a cover on an album of the band that's very known for all their studio tracks and their album tracks. However, I do somewhat have to question the placement of this song on the album, as although Steely Dan tends to have a great instrumentation as a part of the band's appeal, the vocals and lyrical style is also a large part of their appeal, and this song is completely devoid of that. I feel like perhaps it would have been better as the album closer, since the album closer on this album is quite weak, and it felt like it would maybe wind down the album a little bit better than the song we actually have at the end, which I'll talk about when we get to that, obviously. But yeah, I don't feel like it fits right here just kind of saying smack dab, but like in the middle of the album, right at the end of side one, so basically in the like complete center of the album. It just feels a little odd in its placement, and it doesn't quite work, but it works better than the actual album closer. And so honestly, I feel like this should have been moved somehow. I understand it's a little bit longer than that song, I think that's at the end of side 2, but I feel like it should have been moved there instead. and have that song maybe heal or something else heal. Porcell's band starts off with great guitar heroics and features some of the best rhythm tracks of this album. The song is a very upbeat gush piece for Charlie Porcell, something which follows up on the previous song, but also feels oddly straightforward and charitable for a Steely Dan song. I mean, there's nothing cynical about it, and it's a pretty transparent piece, it feels like, unless there's something here I'm missing, which it's possible. Through with Buzz starts a very sinister sounding string part, which continues throughout the song. The string section here is not as good as what Electric Orchestra would do, but it does add a nice pinch of variety to this album, which is already a quite varied album, I mean. Lyrically, the song is an insult song aimed at a guy called Buzz who single feels he can no longer trust, as is quite apparent from the title. It isn't much of a full song, and it's awfully short. It feels almost like it would be a coda to Porcell's band, except the two songs aren't really thematically or musically compatible, so I do have to kind of wonder why it's here, why they didn't just make, like, Porcell's band a little bit longer, or maybe the next song a little bit longer. Pretzel Logic features it all. Great harmonies, horns, keyboard, bass line, and guitar solos. Verses are well delivered in a pure blues style, and the chorus is in a more typical jazzy Steely Dan style. The lyrics are great blues-styled lyrics, albeit kind of nonsensical, and it has a bunch of, just random nonsense thrown in to confuse people, which is honestly what Steely Dan's best at. The opening of the song sounds almost like a stunted version of Spirit in the Sky, and the way the verses are sung, somewhat reminiscent of Jack Bruce, in my opinion. If this song had the bass mixed slightly louder, then the verses would sound almost like one of the less good Cream songs. The album Pretzel Logic has a somewhat odd format to it, where a bunch of musical styles are thrown together in the blend, or sort of like an inside-out collections of genre exercise salad. On this song, the album's title track, Steely Dan once again successfully merges two distinct styles seamlessly for a very great song. With a Gun has a country sound throughout. The lyrics are commentary on violence and how possession of a firearm can either change a person or how they perceive them, or in some cases not. The vocal delivery feels like it could be sung by an old guy sitting outside a barn, and the guitar in particular has a, southern feel to it. All of this is still very fast and somewhat, Fleetwood Mac-esque or kind of Allman Brothers-esque pop rock beat that drives the song very well, although it's also one of the kind of weaker songs of the album, in my opinion. Charlie Freak sees the band continue to successfully do genre experimentation, something that has been prominent throughout this entire album. This song is musically a dirge, something you don't see too much in 70s rock albums, honestly, and it has an excellent sounding gothic piano played throughout, which really plays up the kind of style. Lyrically, the song is perhaps one of the album's best as well. The narrator's best friend sells him their gold ring in exchange for drugs. A friend then overdoses and dies from this, and the narrator is guilty or something about it. I mean, it's kind of a vibe. Like, lyrics tell a story, but, you also kind of gotta get just, like, the melancholy vibe as well. But the narrator does seem to be overcome with grief and quite guilty feeling. And I think it's important to know that this song, something like that could easily turn pretty overwrought, but I guess, in this case, they actually do manage to pull off some real pathos, partly because, Donald Fagen doesn't have the most, I guess, overly emotional voice to begin with, which I think works in the song's favor. There's no real, overwrought, Steve Perry-esque sort of, groaning or whatever. So I do think that's a plus, and this is honestly one of the best songs of the album. And last but not least, although also maybe least, we have Monkey in Your Soul. Probably the weakest track on the album. And it feels like a mediocre song on an otherwise spotless album. It has a decent backing and horn part, but the real story here is whatever percussion instrument it is that makes it scratching sound the backing. It's a bit hard to hear if you're streaming the song, but listening to it on vinyl, it's quite prominent and pretty unique sounding. So, if anyone knows the name of that, let me know in the comments, because, I have no clue what it is. I'm not, a percussion expert. But it's, the one good thing about this song, because I do kind of want to know what it is, because it is weird, and I have no clue what it is. Someone please tell me. This song's lyrics are mediocre, And it also feels quite hollow after kind of the pathos of Trolley Freak. And the placement of the album's last song makes the ending feel quite abrupt and tacked on. I mean, the song really does just kind of like cut off. And I don't really understand why that is. The album generally succeeds at every other tone, even the songs that are like kind of mediocre, standing on their own, work well in this format. It's a pretty eclectic album, as I keep saying. It's generally paced pretty well, but Monkey in Your Soul, it just cuts off. It's not in the right spot, and as I said earlier, East St. Louis Toodle-Oo should probably have been here at the end instead. And this and maybe Through with Buzz could have been moved to side 1 in its place, and it would have been better paced because, you know, the album opens great. The way it's opened with Rikki, Don't Lose That Number, that's great. But, you know, you gotta stick the landing as well, and this album does not do that. Countdown to Ecstasy did that, but Pretzel Logic does not do it. Pretzel Logic, like, it flies quite well, but then it kind of crashes on the landing, and, you know, that's not good. Now, we're going to look at the sleeve. This isn't going to take that long this time. This is an MCA, as you can see, repressing. The originals were on ABC. And I do have the ABC versions of some of the other albums, but they also got repressed sometime in like 1979, 1980-ish on MCA. MCA, I think, actually issued a lot of repressings at that time. I think they did it for... I know they did it for Elton John. I also think they did it for The Who, so... They were kind of in this phase where they did a whole bunch of repressings. So that's what this is. This is repressing. The original version of the album had a gatefold sleeve. I also don't know if it had like a lyric sheet or whatever. This has neither. It literally is just this. And the record itself is literally just in this plastic liner. It was the MCA label. This is literally all it comes with inside. Literally nothing else. On one hand, I kind of wish I had the gatefold version, but I actually bought this specific copy, still new, sealed, here just a few weeks ago, in 2023, so it does sound good, although I still might get another copy of this at some point in the gatefold. But yeah, here it is. I like the picture on the front. It really does kind of give it the nice, it's very indicative of the sound on this album. As I said earlier, it has kind of a folksy, or, kind of, it sounds like maybe a busker playing on the street, just random songs they learned that don't really fit together that well. I believe this picture was taken in Central Park, and it has the pretzel theme, and it's really, I think, just a nice photograph. It's in black and white, but it's a really nice, but I think that helps it too. It's really nice, and it wraps around to the back. On the gatefold version, of course, you would have been able to fold that out and see the picture extra wide, and, you know, I may add that into the video or something at some point if I get another version of this, but of course I may not, you know, there's always other stuff to buy, but it is still kind of nice to see the picture printed up, and because it does look quite nice. I like the trees. You can kind of see the New York skyline back there too. I think that's the Empire State Building, although I don't really know. I've never really been to New York, so there it is. It's a pretty nice thing. You got, of course, the whatever, credits, notes. As I said, I do kind of wish this came from lyric sheet, although I don't really need it, because I know the lyrics to this album pretty well. Otherwise, it's a pretty nice thing. But with this specific re-release, there just isn't much to talk about with the Slave. So, for my final rankings of the songs and the album, I give Rikki, Don't Lose That Number a 10 out of 10. Great song. Night by Night, I give a 9 out of 10. Any Major Dude Would Tell You, I gave a 9 out of 10. Barrytown, I also give a 9 out of 10. East St. Louis Toodle-Oo, I give a 7 out of 10. Porco's Band, I give an 8 out of 10. Through with Buzz, I give a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, but it doesn't really stand on its own, but it works pretty well within the album's format. Pretzel Logic, I give a 9 out of 10. With a Gun, I give a 7 out of 10. Trolley Freak, I give a 9 out of 10. Monkey in Your Soul, I give a 5 out of 10, and that's just on its own. As I said, if we're going by how it works in the album's format, it's honestly probably below that, but on its own, like, if it stands on its own, it's probably about a 5 out of 10. Like, absolute neutral. It's, like, it's all right. But I wouldn't call it good evil, you know? So yeah, there we go. And for my top 3 recommended songs from this album, I would give Rikki, Don't Lose That Number, Pretzel Logic, and Trolley Freak, although, honestly, Night by Night, any major dude will tell you in Barrytown, if I was to list those as my 3, you know, that'd still be, like, the hallmark of a great album. And overall, I give this album a 9 out of 10. This is, in my opinion, one of Steely Dan's best albums, even if it doesn't quite land in the end. That's my favorite of their songs. I think it works really well in the format. I feel like in Countdown to Ecstasy are probably my favorites of theirs. I feel like they're a bit, you know, more fully formed than Can't Buy a Thrill is. Asia, of course, is a very, you know, popular pick for the best album, and I like it too, but I think either Countdown to Ecstasy or this one. Countdown to Ecstasy, I feel like maybe, like, is paced and formatted better than this one, but I think this one's pretty good too. I'd say it's pretty close. Both of them I'd say are better than, like, the next album, Katie Lied, or Voice Gamble, if I do like Voice Gamble, the last one. But yeah, I do think this is a really good album, even if it has some pacing issues, especially at the end. I do feel like it works pretty well as an album. It's eclectic, but somehow they managed to marry a wide range of styles quite well, and kind of an odd kind of fusion. As I said earlier on the review, I said it's kind of like messed up genre exercise salad, but it does work. It kind of gives a kind of down-to-earth kind of feel, almost like just someone playing these songs, as I said, in like Central Park or The Friends, or was like a part of garage band or something. So, you know, I'm not trying to claim this as like alt rock or something, but I do think it's pretty good, and it's a pretty good package, I'd say. So I'd say it's, yeah, in the top 2 on Countdown to Ecstasy. The jury's still out in my mind as to which one's better. But yeah, once again, if you enjoyed this video, I would like to encourage you to like, subscribe, comment if you can, especially if you can tell me what that percussion instrument is on Monkey in Your Soul, because once again, I have no clue. And I do actually really want to know, because I really, it's the only good thing on that song. And it's good in the mix too, you know? But yeah, I mean, watch, subscribe, share this, comment, you know, everything. Every little bit helps me out. And, you know, I hope you all have enjoyed watching this, and thank you for watching this to the end if you're listening to this part, obviously. And, I guess I'll see you in the next video.